Hello class, I'm Mr. Jeffrey L. Evangelista, your assigned professor for your subject ICT 1. So in this cycle 2, we will be covering Microsoft Excel. So what would you like to learn to do with Microsoft Excel? Let's say a business owner needs to record, summarize, and analyze financial data. Otherwise, he or she cannot know whether orders are being filled, inventories being stocked, or profits are being made. A spreadsheet application like Excel will enable you to take control of the business data. Knowing how to use Excel to control business data will help you to get a job in a business or start a business of your own. That's why if you are ready, so let's get started. So for many businesses, Excel is used to analyze and interpret data. Based on this analysis, important decisions can be made. For example, the banking industry requires employees at every level to analyze data and to make decisions accordingly. Employees may use Excel to decide whether to take on a new customer, accept a loan application, or invest in a particular stock. An Excel worksheet is laid out like a huge grid with 16,384 columns and 1,048,576 rows. This makes it an ideal place to store the huge amount of data that businesses require today. Knowing how to organize this data is just as important as gathering the information. So that's why in our lesson, you will learn how to use Excel's advanced tools and features to help manage data. You will also learn how to group and outline data, name or cell range, and a use name in a formula. Alright, so topic 1, create and modify list ranges. So in Microsoft Excel, you can use a table to manage and organize related data. You can select a range or sequence of cells that you want to make into a table. Since many tables have a huge amount of data in them, you can use the autofilter tool to find and work with the smallest amount or subset of data. In this particular demonstration, you will create a table and use the autofilter to sort and filter information in the table. You will then convert or change the table back to a normal range of data. So then if you are ready, so kindly open your Microsoft Excel, okay, so that you can follow along with my demonstration. Okay, so for this particular demonstration, I'm using a file. So the file name is blues.xlsx. So actually, I will be sharing this file to you. Okay, so assuming that you get the file already, so kindly rename the file and make it, let's say for example, kindly use your last name, then your first name. Okay, then save the file. Alright, so assuming you open your Excel and the file already. Alright, so okay, so in this particular topic, I'm demonstrating creating and modifying list ranges. Okay, so let's get started. Alright, so this is now the Excel, the data coming from the Blues XLX. Alright, so I'm selecting B6, and then from the insert, then I will choose table. Okay, so then make sure A1 and D52 are selected as the range. Click OK in that particular dialog box. Okay, so as you can see, so our data, okay, or the design of the data presentation has been changed. Okay, so now kindly click the filter location. Okay, so uncheck select all and then click New York. So as you can see, we have the following output. When we select location, then click New York. Alright, so under sales, okay, so in the filter, so choose number filters and then custom filter. So in here, we can actually do some filter. Alright, so under the sales, click is less than, so make it 425. Okay, and then choose is greater than, and then make it 200, and then click OK. So as you can see, we don't have the result. Alright, so in that in this kind of uh, scenario, we can actually clear the filters that we apply, okay, so that we can show the data. Okay, so let's play more about our data. So in the table tools, click design. Okay, so make sure all the data are selected. Okay, then after that, under tools, click convert to range. Okay, so the data are converted into range. Okay, so basically that's all for creating and modifying list ranges. Okay, okay, so now let us proceed to our topic 2, using advanced filters. Okay, so auto filter allows you to filter data based on simple preset criteria or conditions. So when you use an advanced filter, however, you can specify more criteria, and only those items in a range of cells or table that meet the criteria will be displayed. So the criteria range contains the conditions that the data must meet in order to be displayed. So the range of cells contains the list of data items. So there must be a blank row between the criteria range and the list range. Okay, so make sure you open your file, and let's start demonstrating on how to use advanced filters. Okay class, so I opened the file. So still we will be using the blues.xlsx for our demonstration. Okay, alright, so in here I will just insert a row. So under the cells, okay, under the home tab, and then click insert, then I will just insert the row. Then after that, I will just copy this heading. I will move it actually at the top. Okay, so I will paste it in here. Alright, there you go. Then after that, I will just actually simply type Cincinnati for the location, and for the item I will just type cities. Okay, so do not type anything, okay, under the sales column. Alright, so proceed to the data, okay, tab, and then click advanced under sort and filter. So double check, make sure the selected list of range is A4 to D55, and then for the criteria range, just type A to D2. So as you can see, we made an advanced filter. So we look into the location Cincinnati, okay, alright, in our data. So that's how you apply advanced filter in Excel. Okay, so in this particular topic, okay, so I'll be demonstrating on how to create subtotals. Alright, so a subtotal is the total or sum of a group of items within a larger set of items. To create subtotals in a worksheet, make sure the list is sorted. Okay, don't forget that, so that the similar items are grouped together. Excel will then automatically create the subtotals for you. So that's why in this particular demonstration, you will find the subtotal for the sales for each concert in the Blues file. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so I opened the file already. So as you can see, still I'm using blues.xlx. Okay, so make sure you have the copy of the file. Alright, so in here I'll be selecting the data tab in your Excel. Okay, right, then make sure, alright, so first make sure you select all the data. Okay, and you must be aware that you must be in your data tab in Excel. Then after that, look for outline tool, okay, and select subtotal. Right, so a subtotal dialog box will appear, so as you can see. Okay, so you must be aware of the following selections. Okay, so especially the list boxes and the check boxes. So under at each change in, so kindly select location, and then use function, kindly select average. Okay, and then uh, check sales if it is unchecked. Okay, and then after that click OK. Alright, so as you can see, our data, okay, are now being displayed based on average. Okay, so all locations are being consolidated. Okay, and since we use the subtotal features, okay, of Excel, no, we can easily actually analyze our data. Okay, so we select average. So what do we expect? Let's say for example in Nashville, so we have two concert date, and then the Nashville average is 150, that's 190 and 110. Okay, so we have also the other interpretation here. Let's say in Baltimore, so we have the following average based on the two given data. Okay, so how about New Orleans? So same. So from 425, 425, 400. So that's sales from t-shirts. So we have an average of 416.60 or 67. Okay. Alright, so what else that we can do? Alright. So you can check everything on the data. Okay, if you want. So let us do sum total again for subtotal. Okay, so this time we will be choosing sum. Okay, for the sum, so that's the total. So meaning to say for Baltimore, we have 250 plus 310, so that is 560. Okay, so that's the total. Okay, same with the other location. The good thing is we have the grand total. So this is our grand total for this data. Okay, so that's under subtotal of data tab. So you can actually explore more if you want. So you can press those plus minus buttons. Okay, if you want to see the effect. Alright, so now let's choose count. Okay, so we have the ground count, so grand count I mean, so that's 51. Okay, so meaning we have 51 locations actually. Okay, so or we can say 51 sales. Alright, okay, so that's how you actually apply the subtotal in your Excel data. Okay, thank you. Alright, so now let's proceed to the next part. So grouping and outlining the data. Okay, so it allows you to show and hide details in a long list of data. So when you create subtotals, grouping and outlining is turned on automatically. Okay, so in this particular topic, we will be exploring more on how we group the data in our worksheet. Okay, so kindly ready the file and let's start demonstrating the topic grouping and outlining the data. So I opened the file already. So again, this is the Blues XLX. Okay, so let me reapply the subtotal. Okay, using the sum, the average. Okay, so as I said, you must be playful with your data. So basically those outline, okay, that I'm showing you are very useful when you want to, let's say for example, you want to hide some details of your data. Okay, or if you want to make a summary of your data, all you have to just press those 1, 2 and 3, the plus and the minus button. Okay, so usually that's how you just outline the data or group the data, okay, using that button. Okay, so again, you just press 1, 2 and 3 if you want to take a closer look about your data that you want to analyze. Okay, so therefore after you did the subtotal that's under the outline tool of the data tab in Microsoft Excel, then you can now proceed with hiding the details or showing the details. Okay, and then you are trying to look the data in groups, okay, or in outline. So basically that's it. So that's how you group and outline your data in Microsoft Excel. Alright class, so let's proceed to our next topic, applying data validation criteria. Okay, so in Excel worksheet is an ideal place to store the huge amount of data that businesses require today. So if the data has typos or mistakes, so the filters and reports will not function properly. So to control the type of data entered into cells, especially those users, apply data validation criteria is a must. So data validation is the process of ensuring that the data is correct based on a specific criteria. Okay? So in this demonstration, you will apply data validation to require the amount of each advertising method to be around 2,000 or less. So you will then add a drop-down list from the range of cells to limit the data that can be entered into a column. Okay, so for this particular demonstration, kindly prepare your file. Okay class, so we are now at applying data validation criteria. So open the file, still Blues XLX. Okay, so after you open your file in your Excel, kindly proceed to the advertising tab. Okay, so now let's work with advertising plan tab in our worksheet. Alright, so in here we have a very simple data. So basically we have the method, amount, percent of total, and promotion type. Okay, so I'm selecting B4 up to B14. Okay, so that's under the amount column. Alright, so in Excel under the data tools, okay, so I'm selecting data validation. So this is the data validation dialog box. Okay, so I'll proceed settings, and then in the validation criteria, I'll choose allow decimal, and then under data I will choose less than or equal to. So now I can set the maximum value, so that's 2,000. Okay, so based on our discussion, and I will click OK. Then let me try under the method newspaper ads. So the amount is 1,000, so let me try to input more than 2,000. Actually, as you can see, we have the error message that the value doesn't match the data validation restriction defined for this cell. So remember, I set the maximum value to 2,000. So when we try to input 3,000, so an error message appeared. Okay. Alright, so let us retry. So still the error message appeared. Okay, so let's input 2,000. So as you can see, the data is being accepted, but still if we input 3,000 or more than 2,000 based on the criteria that we specify, okay, in our data validation dialog box, so the spreadsheet will not accept that value. Okay, so actually we can do some modifications under the data validation dialog box. So we can specify our customized input message or even our error alert. Okay, so let's say for example in the title we type message, and then we can input our customized message here. Let's say for example input the appropriate value, something like that. Okay, so under the error alert, under the style we choose stop, and then for the title, and alright, so that's it, that's the title, and then the message is invalid data. Okay, so it should be, okay, of course the 2,000 that we specified in the settings. not greater than 2000. Alright, so click OK. Alright, so as you can see, we have a guided message here saying that we must input the appropriate value. Then if we insist to input a value that's greater than 2000, a message will actually appear. Okay, alright, so that is the message. Okay, so this is the customized message that we did under the data validation dialog box. So invalid data should be not greater than 2000, so at least the user are guided, okay, on what the value should be. Okay, so that's it. That's how you apply data validation criteria in your Microsoft Excel. Alright class, so let's proceed into our next topic. So circling invalid data. So data validation is designed to prevent a user from keying invalid data into a cell. So it does not prevent an error or mistake when you enter data in a cell by copying or filling. So if you apply data validation after keying data into a worksheet, you can use the circle invalid data tool to locate and highlight data that do not meet the criteria. So this tool, it puts a red circle around any data that is not allowed so that you can easily find and correct the problem. So as you can see in our example here, okay, if you remember that we set the maximum criteria or the maximum allowed value for the amount is 2000. So when the user insists to input more than of that maximum value, then an invalid data circle in red must be appear. Okay, so you must ready your file so that you can follow along with our demonstration. Alright class, so make sure you open the file and then proceed to the advertising plan tab of our worksheet. Alright, so in here again, the data validation, no, so it must be not more than 2000. So as you can see, when I actually click, okay, the data validation under the data tab of Excel, and then I choose circle invalid data, so 2500 is already highlighted or encircled because those data are invalid based on the maximum allowed data that we specified in our data validation dialog box. Okay, alright, so let's see. So still the data are invalid, so let us clear that. Alright, so let me choose all the data under the amount column. Okay, alright, so still we have the, alright, so when we input the valid data, then the red circle disappear because 2000 is within the range of 2000 or within the value of 2000. Okay, criteria is a criteria, so we must follow that and let the user must know if they inputted an invalid data. Okay, alright, so by doing that, at least you can emphasize or at least you can actually inform the user that the following data are invalid. Okay, so the data should be a value of this. Alright, so that is the time when you use the data validation dialog box. Okay, so in that particular dialog box, you can actually specify the allowable data that was inputted by the user. Alright, so that's for it. Okay, for encircling the data, alright, in our Microsoft Excel. Alright, so now let's move to the next part. So removing duplicate values. Okay, so you may want to delete duplicate values from a sheet. A duplicate value is one where all values in a row are in exact match of all the values in another row. So using the remove duplicates filter allow you to specify which column should be checked for duplicate information. So So in this demonstration, you will remove the duplicate advertising methods that appear in the advertising plan. So kindly ready your file. Okay, so I opened the file already. So I'll be choosing this column, the amount and the method column. So I will choose, or I will select all the data with it. Okay, and after that I click data. Okay, then under the data tools I click remove duplicate. So remove duplicates dialog box will appear. So as you can see here, we have the two columns, the method and amount, since these are the two columns that we selected, and then we highlighted the data on it. Okay, alright, so leave it in check mark. Okay, okay, so take a look in our A 10, 11 and 12. So as you can see, we have three entries for bumper stickers. So take a look of it, what will happen after I click the OK of the remove duplicates dialog box. Alright, so there you go. So a message appears saying that 2 duplicate value found and removed. Okay, and 9 unique values remain. So basically, that's how you remove duplicate in your worksheet, okay, using Excel. But be careful in removing duplicate. So whenever you remove duplicates, make sure the data are not actually important. Okay, so sometimes data are redundant, so therefore we need to remove those redundancy. But in the case of, let's say, a sales, okay, so we must not remove duplicate values. Okay, so sales data are always in repeating mode, or in repeating process. Okay, so a situational basis will tell you when you remove duplicate values in your Excel data. Okay, so class, let us proceed to our topic, no? So using the evaluate formula feature. Okay, so what is this evaluate formula feature? So the evaluate formula feature is the most complete error checking tool available in your Excel. So you can use the evaluate formula tool to locate invalid formulas and see how Excel attempted to calculate the formula. So the evaluate formula tool will show you what part of the formula is not working and help you to correct errors in formulas. So then you can make changes so that the calculation function will work properly when you're copying and pasting the formula to other cells. Okay class, so I opened the file already. So under the advertising plan, so I will demonstrate to you the topic about evaluate formula feature. Okay, so let's say I select C4. Okay, and then let me key in the following formula. So I want to compute for the following, so that is equals to B4 divided by B14. Okay, so that is 350 divided by 8,750. So I have the following result of 0.04. Okay, so I want to actually change the appearance of this data of my percent of total. So under the number, okay, options or tool, okay, in the home tab, right? So let me choose the percent. Okay, so as you can see, the data is in percent, so that's 4%. So I will increase the decimal, so that's 4.0%. Okay, alright, so next, alright, so I will do some correction of the following data. So I make it 2000. So as you can see, I got 3.8, so based on the calculation. Alright, so that's 3.8%. So now I will just copy, okay, the value and paste it in there. Alright, so I received the following output when I pasted the data from C4. Alright, so now I will evaluate the formula by clicking the formulas tab, and then after that, okay, kindly look into the evaluate formula. Okay, alright, so let us continue. An evaluate formula dialog box will appear saying that we have the following evaluation of the following data that we have. So that's B5 over B15. So I will click now the evaluate. Okay, so that's actually 2000 over B15. It should be that. Okay, based on the evaluation of the formula. Alright, so I will check the other. So under the formulas tab, and then evaluate formula. Alright, so it should be 2000 over B15. Okay, so that's how you evaluate formula in Excel. Okay, it's very simple, it's very easy. Okay, so let me repeat. You can access the evaluate formula under the formula tab, and then look for formula auditing, and then choose evaluate formula. Okay class, so let us proceed to our next topic, naming a cell range. Okay, so if you need to refer to a certain cell or range of cells, often define it or give it a name. So you then refer to the cell or range by the name instead of by the cell reference. So you can enter the cell or range name into the name box to navigate through a worksheet quickly and easily. So kindly ready your file for our demonstration. Okay class, so I open the file. Still we are using the blues.xlx. Okay, so under the advertising plan, so as you can see, so actually this is the continuation of the previous demonstration that I shown to you. Okay, so let me select the following data. So all the data under the method. Okay, and then I will define a name for this set of data. Okay, so I will just type the following name as data for this particular range. Okay, so that is from A3 to A12. Okay, so I make it data as the name. Okay, and then for this total, so that's 9,250. I will define a name for it. So I make it total. Okay. So now I have the following name cell range. Okay, so my name cell range for A3 to A12 is data, and my name cell range for the B14 is total. So basically that's how you name a cell in a range. Okay, so that you can easily manage the data, so that you can easily select the data. That's it. Alright, so now let's proceed to the next topic, using a name in a formula. So it is often convenient to use a name in a formula, okay, as a substitute for cell references. So for example, the name January is easier to remember than B4 to B67, and less likely to be miskeyed into the worksheet or formula bar. So choose meaningful names so formulas will be easy to read and interpret or understand when you analyze your data. So the use in formula command also allows you to select a defined name from a list of names used in the current workbook and quickly insert it into a formula. Okay? Alright, so I have the following file here open. Okay? So again, this is just a continuation of the previous demonstration that I showed to you. Alright, so let me key in the following formula. So this time, I'll type B4, then divided by total. So as you observe, I did not use the actual value of 9,250. So instead, I used the name cell range, so which is our previous topic that I discussed, okay, already. Alright, so after that, okay, still, I received the following result of 3.8, and I will just simply, okay, drag it down. So watch it closely, okay, so very closely please. Alright, so when I drag it down, then you will actually see that I have the following corrected formula. Okay, so let's say for example in A12, or let's say B12, so I got the following formula of divide by total, so I got 3.2%. So that's how simply all you have to do, just drag, okay, the cursor from the correct formula, and everything will actually follow based on the intended results, okay, that it must be. Alright, okay, so let's say I will check radio ads, okay, and then what else. So basically that's it, okay, when we want to actually use a name formula, okay, so as simple as that. So B divide by total, okay, so as long as you have the numerical data, okay, in a group of cell that you specify, then you can easily use those, okay, as part of your formula. As you can see here in my demonstration, so we got B6 divided by total. So total here is a name formula, or is a name range in a cell, okay, in our worksheet. And that's all for this module. So thank you for your listening. So if you have some questions or clarification, you can drop me a message into our LMS using Ed module. I hope you enjoy ICT1 Microsoft Excel. Until next time for our next module.